sure it can.
All right.
Get the dust off it.
Good morning, afternoon, and welcome to the Ann Arbor Downtown Development Authority's first meeting of January in 2022, January 5th. My name is Tyler Kinley, DDA Board Chair, and we are excited to meet for the first time in person in what feels like 50 years. For some of us, this is actually our first time meeting each other, so very pleased to see everyone in the flesh. This is a treat. We'll see how long it lasts, but we're here today. So let's get started here. We don't need to do our where are we chiming in from, so just say you're present. So let's get a roll call going.
Sure. Oh, so official.
Micah Bartelme.
Here.
Alex Deek.
Here.
Milton Dehoney. Ji-Hae Kim. Tyler Kinley.
Present.
Marie Clough. Jessica Letoff.
Here.
Jonathan Massey.
Present in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
I know.
I was gonna do that.
Molly McFarland.
Here.
And Darren McKinnon.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Wonderful. All right, so let's begin with the approval of the board meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Tyler, I'd like to move to approve the board meeting agenda.
This is Jess, second.
Wonderful.
Force
all-
of habit.
Yeah, all those in favor of approving the board meeting agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak? You will have 4 minutes. I don't believe we have, unless Jerry, you'd like to say anything. All right.
Like 4 minutes to anyone else who wants to.
Yeah. Okay, so moving ahead, reports from city boards and commissions. I believe Mauro will be reading the report from the CAC.
I am reading this report on behalf of the CAC, and because I can't wear my glasses with a mask because they fog up, I'm going to do my best to see this, so bear with me. The Downtown Area Citizens Advisory Council, which works to advise the DDA and City Council about issues and opportunities that affect downtown livability, met over Zoom on January 4th, 2022, last night. The meeting was attended by 9 downtown and near downtown residents, including 2 potential new members of the CAC. Most of the meeting was devoted to a lively and informative discussion of the Main Street water main replacement planned for 2023, with Vaughn Martin from Wade Trim presenting public engagement information. The CAC's interest in this project, aside from the long-needed improvements to vital downtown infrastructure, is the potential for streetscape improvements that have great potential to impact downtown livability, as experiences of recent COVID summers have proved. Some meeting participants were surprised and disappointed to learn that, in fact, there are no permanent streetscape improvements planned. It's just not part of the project, and view this as a missed opportunity. Acknowledging some of the complex issues involved, notably the nearly universal presence of sidewalk vaults that must be addressed before any major streetscape improvement can be implemented, we learned that even cosmetic improvements, like curbless streets that are friendlier to pedestrians in non-motorized forms of transportation, are off the table. The CAC will continue to discuss the important role that Main Street plays in our community, to businesses, to downtown residents, and to all of the users of Ann Arbor's most important thoroughfare. And we hope to engage the DDA in this conversation as it matures. The Downtown Area Citizens Advisory Council wishes the board members and staff of the Downtown Development Authority a happy and fruitful new year, and see you next month.
Wonderful. Thanks, Maura. Moving ahead to DDA members' communications. Do we have any communications from DDA board members?
This is Jess.
Jess, go ahead.
I just want to recognize staff for all the hard work that you did in physically reconfiguring the office to bring people in after for almost 2 years. I know that you've been working on it for much of those 2 years, and your preparation really shows off. So thank you for being as thoughtful as you are about safety. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, staff. Any other member communications? Moving ahead, Maura, back up. Please present the executive director report.
Okay, well, I too will welcome you back and welcome some of you for the first time to our office. We're very pleased to have you here today, and Happy New Year. And some birthday wishes to Darren McKinnon. Some of you already told us. Happy birthday, Darren. And as usual, Jess stole my thunder, because that's what Jess does, because I was going to lead with thanking Kelly for all of the work she has done to prepare the office, not just here in the boardroom, but throughout the office. Her thoughtful care of staff and all of you in the public, it needs to be recognized. So thank you, Jess.
Can't do it too much.
That's right. And just, I have one item. Last month, the League of American Bicyclists, some of you may have already heard this, named the City of Ann Arbor a gold-level bicycle-friendly community. This award recognizes Ann Arbor's commitment to improving conditions for all people who bike. The William Street and First Street protected bikeways were among the considerations that were included in the city's application, which was a really rigorous application. And I feel that this award is a great illustration of the city and the DDA's shared values, common goals, and the ongoing collaboration between DDA and city staff. So we were super excited about this. That's all I have.
Thanks, Maura. That is a great accomplishment. It's something we can really sort of hang our hat on and be proud of. Next up on the agenda, the approval of the December 2021 minutes, which are pages 2 through 14 in your packet. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Is Darren?
Have a second?
I'll second that, it's Michael.
All in favor of approving the December 2021 minutes?
Aye.
All those opposed? And the motion passes. Minutes are approved. Moving ahead to subcommittee reports. Executive committee is up first, and this we have a couple of resolutions. The first is a resolution to hire Jeffrey Watson as the DDA executive director. It says pages 35 and 36 in your packet. If you'd like to see more, beginning on page 15 is the agenda item, which goes through basically the terms. And after that is a lengthy amount of information about the tiers that are involved in where he sits in the city's structure. Feel free to peruse that. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that, it's Michael.
All right, open for discussion.
This is Darren. I just want to say, we spent a lot of time on this. Pre-COVID, we started working on this, and it was a very lengthy and a thorough process, and happy to be part of it. And I'm extremely pleased we're bringing Jeff Watson here, and look forward to approving this today.
Thanks, Darren. Any other discussion?
When will he begin?
It would be the day after the city council approves, given that they approve it, and that would be the Tuesday after the next meeting, which is not next Monday, but the Monday
The
following.
18th.
Oh, there's MLK Day, though.
Yeah,
17th.
So the 19th.
So the
No, I
next-
think Tuesday is the 18th, I believe, and.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so the council meeting's on Tuesday, the 18th.
So it would be that Wednesday.
So is this not one of the things like they're confirming, but it doesn't require a public hearing and then a vote, like a two-step? It would just be the one?
My understanding is it's just one.
Got it, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the understanding so far has been council and then it's good to
The
go.
council's meeting the 17th, even though it's MLK Day.
No,
Oh, yeah,
the 18th.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're just getting dates, but it would be, they meet Tuesday and he would begin Wednesday. Any further discussion?
Yes, so I'm not even totally sure where to start. I took a little bit of time to wrap my head around the employment agreement, because this is the first time that this board has been asked to, consider anything like this. I think the closest was, when we passed a resolution bringing more in as interim, but in terms of a full employment agreement, this was the first time. So I appreciated how Sarah has laid out, the current DDA agreement versus what the previous one was. And it's my understanding, so my eye was drawn to the two big discrepancies, which were the severance line items. And in conversation, it's my understanding that because the last employment agreement was over 2 decades ago, that really we're just kind of updating to current norms. So that was helpful to understand. Partly I'm just talking through my understanding since it's kind of fresh and, for the benefit of people who may not have had a chance to read through the packet. The one thing that I wanted to ask about, so it's my understanding in reading the employment agreement itself, that severance, that Jeff can give notice at any time, and that if we were to dismiss at any time, that severance would kick in immediately. Like there's no waiting period for that. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's my understanding.
Okay, and that's part of the city norm as well? Okay.
And if there are any other questions, feel free to ask. The process to reach this was fairly thorough. I learned quite a lot about city HR processes and what is standard in this agreement. What does very clearly stand out is that severance. That is standard at the level with which the executive director of the DDA falls in the city structure. It's the same level as I believe the HR director and I believe the assistant city attorney. And the 9-month severance is the norm at that level. Jerry Lax is with us today. He was instrumental in helping craft this and walking through the process. I had many discussions with staff, with city HR, with Jerry, and we came to this. And so I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have. So far, none of what's in here is out of the norm or is unprecedented, and that was something we saw pretty diligently. And so we felt pretty comfortable moving ahead. I can tell you, Jeff is very excited to start. He was eager to start. He was very hopeful to get this on the city council's meeting 2 nights ago because he just wanted to get moving. I mean, I think his position ended and he wanted to just start it. So he's excited to get going. I'm excited for him to start. And yeah, if there are any other questions, feel free to ask. Open book.
So I'm like there, and I look forward to approving this. And I don't think I have any amendments to request, but a question that I wanted to put towards the board is in his employment agreement, job performance evaluation, it notes that he will be reviewed less frequently than once a year. But I'd like to ask us to consider maybe 90 and 180-day reviews, which means we've got some work to do about understanding what it is we're reviewing him on and making sure that those expectations are communicated. So this isn't anything that needs to be changed in the agreement, but I would like us to consider reviewing him this first year more frequently than in a year.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I think he'll begin, and I imagine we'll have a lot of conversation with him. We're going to get up to another part of this, which is Maura and her position as interim and sort of helping guide and shepherd him into the process. But yeah, we can definitely build in some sort of checkpoints of just making sure everything's running smoothly.
Yeah, and we had talked for the benefit of folks who came in for the board meeting. We talked in the executive committee a little bit about this and a little bit about continuing to make sure that board staff communication is strong even after the new director starts. And they have some ideas for next month's executive committee meeting. So I feel comfortable that this is moving forward. I just wanted to kind of state it out loud.
Great.
Let me just add maybe one sentence. By the way, I'm very lax.
Jerry, could you go up to the podium?
Oh,
so
yeah.
that-
My glasses will probably fog up. This won't be a long speech. No, I've really had the privilege of working with the DDA for quite some time as attorney, and I'm happy to have done that. And with regard to this, I just wanted to say a couple things. First, that I think Tyler has become as much an expert, if not more, with, regarding city HR policy as I've ever been, and I certainly reviewed these things very thoroughly with the city. Second, I have discussed this with the member of the city attorney staff who deals largely with HR matters, and she has indicated that she has no questions about the agreement, so that since city council has to approve it, they would seek the city attorney's advice, and all indications are that the city attorney's office won't have any particular problems with the agreement. So I'm happy to meet you all at a board meeting. I've known a few of you before, rarely seen you in person over the last year and a half, so good to see you, and maybe someday the petitions will be removed and you can actually shake hands with each other and so on and so forth. So if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to address them, but I think the matter's been covered pretty thoroughly.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jared.
Thanks, Jerry.
I guess I would add one thing I left out is I was also pretty consistently in communication with Milton Mahoney, who can't be with us today, but he was also in support. He was recently hired and went through the process, and so he's pretty knowledgeable, not only in the city HR processes, but just being as an onboarding person. So he was a really good sounding board, and he will be a voice at the council meeting. And so that's where it was also sort of a dual role, and getting his opinion and support on where we're at was pretty critical in my thinking. And he is in full support of this. And so just wanted to add that in there. So we feel confident that he can add his voice not only here, but at the city council meeting, which is really the crucial step. Any further discussion? All right, well, let's take a vote. All those in favor of the resolution to hire Jeffrey Watson as DDA Executive Director, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Resolution passes. Thanks all. It's frankly very exciting for me and for everybody. The next up is a resolution authorizing a transitional overlap period for Executive Director position. Do I have a motion will someone please move the resolution?
This is Jen, so moved.
This is Darren, second.
Thank you. My words will come to me eventually. Is there discussion?
Glad we're doing it. That's the whole discussion. Glad it's happening.
Without anybody chiming in, so there is a precedent for this. When Joe Morehouse left his position and we hired Sarah, there was a similar overlap. Frankly, I think this is critical. There is a lot of moving parts that have to do with being executive director of the DDA, and a lot of them are just nuances of Ann Arbor, of context of things happening that happen here, people to know, that you can't just understand. There's stuff that we know without knowing, and it'll be pretty critical for Maura to be sort of acting in a dual role, both in her position as the communications manager and as the essentially sort of assistant to Jeff as he moves forward through this. So I'm very much in favor of this. Are there any other discussion, or should I move ahead? Yeah.
Darren, I just wanted to, before Jeff says it, to thank Maura for shouldering this load much longer than was ever anticipated, and wearing two hats, and probably much more than two that we're not aware of over the last almost 2 years now. So we're very grateful to have you, and as much of a disruption that this was, and Maura made it as least as it could have been. So thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Seconded.
Yeah, and just on a personal note, working through the negotiation process for this couldn't have been made any easier without Maura's help. She was instrumental, working long hours diligently. Went on vacation. She didn't call me if there's anything that comes up. Tons of extra effort, a lot of humility, a lot of willingness to do whatever it takes. So, Maura, you're a superstar, and it's incredibly appreciated. So you've done excellent work here, and we look forward to. Yeah, just excellent. So, is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the resolution authorizing a transitional overlap period for the executive director position, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. That concludes the executive committee wrap up here. So the next executive committee meeting is Wednesday, February 2nd at 11 a.m. So look forward to that. Moving ahead to the capital improvements committee. We have with us Alex Deacon.
Yeah. Thank you, Tyler. So the first thing for capital improvements is that we do have a resolution. So I would like to move a resolution to modify the Wade Trim construction, engineering, and inspection contract. And this is found on page 40 of your DDA packet. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Darren. So discussion, I'll just read through the resolution. So the DDA contracted with Wade Trim in 2020 for the First and Ashley Street project. The board approved 2 contract amendments to expand services, one in March 2021 and another in June 2021. Pandemic-related challenges of labor shortages and supply chain issues required extending construction schedules and thus construction support services. And so there's a recommendation for increasing the Wade Trim contract by $86,000, which represents about 6% of that contract sum, to continue these services on the Division Street Bikeway. And your packet includes a memo with more detailed information. So is there any discussion on this?
It's helpful to have the past contract changes in there, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, without discussion, Ted, do you do this or do I?
Yeah, so I can do this. All those in favor, let me make sure I get the wording correct. All those in favor of the resolution to modify the Wade Trim construction, engineering, and inspection contract, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Resolution passes.
Okay, thanks. And then beyond the resolution, just some construction updates for you. Construction is substantially complete on First Ashley Division in William. Right now, we're working on punch list items, and that work will continue. Some items significantly impacted by supply chain issues, like the signal poles at Division and Huron, and those will be installed in the spring as a result of the delay. That's it. Next meeting is February 16th at 11 a.m. in person.
Sorry, Alex.
February
No,
16th.
before that, the signal. what
Yeah, the
was
signal poles for Division and Huron, I think we're supposed to go in, but it'll be delayed supply chain.
that? Okay, thank you.
Just a quick minor question. I noticed we went back that section of Ashley between Liberty and Washington where we weren't able to get the vaults in or
Yeah.
actually change the sidewalk. I did notice that on a number of the tree guys, they got curbs and kind of expanded and those grates taken out. However, there were several that weren't. Are those planned to continue or are those like just not going to get them?
So we added the curved buffer around those tree pits on all except 2 beds that had the custom-made grates. So we had the custom-made grates made, and I'll admit, I'm not sure if they came in yet, but that's why you see 2 beds without the curb, because they're not getting curved, they have grates.
So they're getting replacement grates.
Correct.
So they are getting upgraded,
Yes.
however, not in the same fashion as the other ones.
Right.
Okay.
Before, I have a similar detailed question on the intersection at Washington and Ashley. It appears, and I think it's a permanent 4-way stop, but the light that was installed is like the full-on
Correct.
3.
The city requires, and Amber's watching and she's probably gonna yell at me because I don't know the details, but the city requires a certain period of time that signal has to hang before it can be removed and just use the stop sign. So we're in that period. So that signal will be
Okay.
gone.
Oh, that is weird
Yeah.
and confusing.
It's aging. We're aging that traffic light. Hey, doesn't make sense. Understand.
All right, and the next meeting is
February 16th at 11 a.m.
for the 3rd time.
for the
Perfect.
3rd time.
We'll remember now. Thanks, Alex. Next up is the AHEAD Committee. We have with us Jess Leetoff.
That's me. My co-chair has abandoned me for important work. So last month, the committee received a presentation from a member of the Green Team, which is a citizen guardian group. The presentation included a review of the work the group has done on the library lot. City staff, including the city CFO, 2 attorneys, and the director of Housing Commission, Jennifer Hall, made a request to the DDA to share in the debt service on 350 South Fifth. As I understand it, the attorneys are still working on that agreement, so that request will come to the full board in February.
And we can go into more detail.
And we can go into more detail then. Yep.
So it's coming.
So, no questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, great. The January meeting has been canceled, and the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 9th at 9 a.m. here, and that's DDA only.
Wednesday, February 9th. Thanks, Jess. Next up is the Operations Committee. Myself and Mr. Jonathan Massey chaired. Jonathan, do you want to walk us through our in-depth committee?
It's an in-depth report. The December operations committee meeting, we canceled it due to a lack of agenda items because we made such good progress in November. And the next operations committee meeting will be Wednesday, January 26th at 11 a.m.
Thank you. January 26th. Thanks. Next up is the Finance Committee. We have Micah Bartelli.
Thanks, Tyler. The December Finance Committee meeting was canceled due to a lack of agenda items. The committee will receive the first draft of the fiscal year 2023 budget at the January meeting, which is occurring on Thursday, January 27th at 9 a.m.
Wonderful. All right. That wraps up our subcommittee reports. Next up is new business. Do we have any new business? Word, anyone? No. All right. Moving ahead to public comment. Public will have 4 minutes each to speak. I don't see any public. So we will move ahead and we're on to adjournment. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Jeff.
Second, Darren.
All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Yeah.
Hey!